Hey everybody, welcome back into the garage in the 300ZX Turbo project. This video we are going to be starting to put the leather covers on the seat frames out of the car there. If you're wanting to look at how to get the seat frames apart, check out part 1 of episode 31, I believe it is. Part 1 will tell you how I took it apart. This is going to be part 2, which is putting it together, and this is the manual seat that I'm currently working on. I'm going to then move on to the driver's seat, which on this GLL has all the pump ups and adjustable stuff in it, so that will be a separate video again. Anyway, let's go on and see if we can start to get some new leather back onto these seat frames. The new cover on the back here, and we'll see how it goes. I've really not done anything like this before, so let's press on. Okay, so this is the kit. Just bought it off Amazon. There's 3 different sizes of hog rings and a wrench to squeeze them together. And this is my new seat back with the turbo embroidery there. Looks really nice. I think they've done a great job trying to match the factory one. All right, so first thing I've done is I've transferred the 3 rods from the old leather into the new one here, into these retaining hoops, whatever you call them, and those are going to get clipped down in these 3 grooves here with the hog rings. So next thing to do is to, I guess, to slip it over the top and start to get it in place. All right, so what I've done here, I put a little bit of plastic over the foam. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, move close to the camera. There. A little bit of plastic over the foam to help the leather slide over, because this leather has a type of foamish back on it, and that trying to drag against this foam, I suspect I'm going to fight up. Well, it's helping. Okay, so been working at this. And I know from watching my dad when he would do upholstery, and you know, he's a master upholsterer. He did cars for museums and all sorts of things. I know it's not just a case of you pull it over and you clip it down and you're done, that you have to work at it a lot. A lot of pulling, a lot of forming, a lot of hitting it to get it in place, to try and get as many creases and that out as you possibly can. So I think what I'm going to do now is try and put this first rod here, get it attached into the through the foam here. All right, so trying to get the hog ring on here, and I've never done this before, so I'm sure people who do this all the time would just be laughing at this effort, but hey, I think that actually helped. This has come up nice. I like that. The turbo logo's, it's a little higher, but it's still in a good place. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Oh, all right. At least I can say, like with these hog ring clips, they do, because they're spring loaded, they do retain the hog ring well. Otherwise it would be pinging everywhere. I'm not sure how you would do these sort of things without these, with a normal pair of pliers. I'm not sure you could. So we'll get the second one of these in, and then I guess we'll move to the back and get the rest of the back clipped down. All right, well, flipped it over. Going to try and work on the top part of the back here. And it hog ring ties into four slots across this bar, this metal bar in the frame. I'm going to start in the center here. All right, that's one done. Like I said, I wouldn't use what I'm doing as the technique, but we are managing here. Okay, so we got all the bars clipped down. What I'm gonna do now is try and wrestle this bottom part over the foam here on the back, and then I can flip it over and sort of tighten everything up and snug it down in the back there. This could be a bit of a wrestling match. The original had a cloth that was probably easier to work with. This is all leather. I'm certainly not going to complain, but we'll have to try and stretch it over here. It is quite a physical job, actually. I mean, I'm just obviously faffing around here as a hobby, but I would imagine to do this for a living, it's actually, you do a lot of wrestling with this kind of thing anyway. You'd think I appreciated how hard my dad probably worked every day to bring home his paycheck. We're all done at the back now. It's all been pulled over, clipped in place. There's two little flaps here, like on the OE one. They've just been glued here onto the frame, which seemed to be how they were done from the factory. I will show you one little thing I had to do here. There's a rod that goes through here, and this is supposed to go to this rod on the frame here, and then you're supposed to hog ring those two together. This would not reach this. Now, if you look at the original one, if you look where the seam goes, what you'll see is how much longer that is to this. So it wraps around and it will go up and do that here. So what I've had to do, or what I've done is my fix is I put two hog rings in here so they grab the little rod, and then I've just zip tied them up to this rod here. So it's held in place. I think it's going to be all right. You're not actually pushing on that when you sit on it, so I think that'll be okay. Now, super pleased with how this has come out. It just fits lovely. Fits lovely. Other than that one tiny little issue back there, so far, this is great. All right, here we go. Here's the one side bolt. So this is actually the inboard one, so the one nearest the console. This is the vinyl that came off it. And this is the one I'm using as a reference that I haven't taken apart yet, which is the outboard one. They are handed, so there is a right and a left hand, but they appear to be identical driver and passenger. So you could put an outboard one from the passenger side on the driver's side by the looks of it. So here's the leather one. Okay. There we go. Okay, I got the one done. It's ready to go on. It's come up nice. Nice seam there. Nice and smooth. Have both the side bolsters finished now. Got the recliner back on the back here. I've refinished the plastic trim here. I just wanted to show, this is the original color of the plastic on the seats, and it's a different color than the rest of the interior. And it was done, I guess, because the seat leathers was a darker color. Now, doesn't look to me particularly nice against the burgundy that these seats are. I actually think this burgundy matches nicer in the car. So I'm doing all the trim and refinishing it the same color as the rest of the interior. As you can see, that looks a lot nicer against the leather as well. So we're doing all the little plastic bits around the seat. And yeah, gonna put those bolsters on now, finish that up. That is now both side bolsters onto the seat. I have to do, other than the bolts of course, is to just tuck that flap in there, which pulls this top in nice and clean. When the back cover goes on, of course, that's all hidden. So gonna try and tackle the headrests now. Headrest. So we've got to put a cover on here too. Honestly, at this point, not all that sure how these come apart or go together, but like everything else, we'll have a go. Can start by trying to pop this off. There we go. All right. Huge Phillips screw there. That should come off, I guess. All right, that just unscrews and pops off. Now I see a couple of screws, two small Phillips here, so we're going to try and take this off. Okay, we have two hog rings, one here and one here. Appears to be it. All right, got it off. Just, it peels off, but it's on there pretty good. You gotta wrestle it. It is, actually, it's real leather. Unlike so much of the vinyl on these seats. Because it is such a tight fit, I've done what I did with the top part of the back, and I put some of this plastic, this drop cloth on here to make it easier for me. All right, my goodness, this is done. That was a fight, unquestionably. But, and I still got a trim here, which will take these creases away, to put the screw, the little handle in that adjusts. But it has come up nice. It's just a proper fight. And you have to, when you put it back together, you have to make sure that this gets set in that groove in there, which is what holds it all in place, and then I'll snap back down in here so you can put the two screws in. Okay, so on the headrest, there's obviously got to be two holes up here to put the these headrest plastic tubes back in. To me, this is the most unnerving part of the whole project, because I got to cut through the leather. I'm going to try just cutting an X, so there'll be 4 flaps that fold down, and see if that will work. If not, I'll cut it out as a whole. And I'll use the tube there as a guide as to how far to cut. Okay, I have the back basically done now. It doesn't have the hard shell back piece on yet because I haven't finished refinishing that, and I'm waiting for the chrome edging to come in, but that's 4 screws. The headrest posts ended up needing to be cut as a circle to go in, because once you cut it as an X and then the material goes down, it all binds it up. So that didn't work. So I had to cut it as a circle. It's a bit fiddly. It's a lot fiddly, but it's done. And then effectively I had to do the same thing here. You have to cut to be able to put the screw in, to put the adjuster knob back on here. And that's, like all the other stuff, has been refinished. So you can see it's a much better blend of color. Seat cushion frames all done here. Got rid of all the horsehair, given it a quick lick of paint. So we've got everything disassembled now, and we're all ready to start putting things back together. This is where the horsehair was, of course. What I've put on is, it's just sort of rubberized vinyl. Pretty thick, pretty heavy duty, I think. And I put it with the rubberized side down onto the springs, and I've just wrapped it over with a couple of the hog rings, and then of course the foam will go over and hold it all in place. So I think this is going to protect it sufficiently. All right, so this is the seat cushion, or the seat base cover inside out here. We've got these retainer things for the rods. But the biggest problem I've had so far with these seats, there's two rods that go down these two seams here, which run down here. There was no hoop or retainer, whatever you call that, for these. So I've had to take these to a local upholstery shop and have them sew these in for me so I can slide the rods in here. Because I tried putting this on already. I've had this on once, except without being held here. As soon as you pull this tight, this whole thing lifts up and creases. So you have to be able to retain it down into this slot here to get it to take its shape. So we're going to start now. I'm going to try putting it on from the front, because this is by far the tightest, stretching it over the front here. And we'll try the side rods, and then we'll work our way back and then stretch it over. Sounds easy. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here's where we are right now. I have started at the front of the seat. I got the seat currently flipped inside out. That's why it looks funny. I started at the front, and I put this bar. The first bar goes across, and then the second and the third bars. Those are all held down with the hog rings. And then I've done the two side bars. The ones where we just added the new thing in there. So they're all done now. So what I'm going to try and do now is stretch this over and flip it, and then start stretching it out, and hopefully get rid of as many creases as I can. I've added plastic at the front, just because I know from playing with it before, it's tough to get it over the front section here. So I've added the plastic to help. The rest should flip in place. So I'm gonna have a go. Okay, well, I've been fighting with this thing for the last, I don't know how long, calling it every name under the sun as I work on it here. But we are finally getting this side stretched to the point where I think I got to start putting the hog rings in so I can do the final pull down and stretch. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of just reaching under, stretching, banging the foam back in place, trying to get these side bolsters to look decent, and then it'll all stretch out on the sides here. Okay, so here we are, second time, haven't put it all together. Still not really happy with it. All right, I'm gonna stop the video right there. And rather than me try and edit a whole bunch of different tries of me fixing the seat cushion to a satisfactory level and you having to wade through it, I'll just cut to the chase here and explain what happened and how I ultimately fixed the problem. And this is the driver's seat, but they're, for all intents and purposes, are identical when it comes to putting the cover on. When you start putting the cover on, at least this is how I did it. You have those 3 rods that go through here on those retainer hoops, and you have the 2 that go down here that I had sewn in that were missing. Now, this one and these 2 just clip to rods that are molded into the foam. These 2, by the factory, go right the way through everything and clip to the springs in the back under the cushion. These two back 2 that go through to the springs, you got to do a lot of pushing and a lot of really heaving on it to be able to get the hoggering on there properly. And what happens is once you have all that done, it sets up all these creases on these side bolsters here. It pulls it so tight that it creases the side bolster, and then you're pulling and stretching like crazy trying to get them out, and I have not successfully done that. So I tried one time. I took the hoggerings out, folded this up, and I put foam on here, additional foam, and it really didn't do much. So I took that off and I put Dacron on. It's kind of like a batting and upholstery. It's about 1 inch thick. This stuff doesn't squish down as much as foam. It's really good for smoothing out things. So I put that on and tried it, and I used the steamer that I bought. I bought a steamer to steam the foam to try and open the pores up to help. Now, this Dacron and the steaming helped a bit. It did move it in the right direction for sure, but I was never completely happy with the passenger seat, which is actually sitting in the car right now. It's bolted in. So when I started on the driver's side, I was expecting it to be worse because the foam was that much worse. That certainly pretty beaten up. So it's got a lot of patches in it and things like that I've done. But what I found by accident, I put the front rod in. So I put this rod in first, and then I flipped the leather over just to get an idea of how it was going to fit. And I found the side bolsters were quite smooth. There wasn't a lot of wrinkles at all. And then I cinched down the other 2 rods that go right through, and all these side bolsters were all wrinkled like crazy. So I made a couple of attempts at getting it to fit right like that, and then it was just like the passenger side. So what I've done is I've released these 2 rods here from underneath, and it came back up a bit, and it took virtually every one of the creases out of these side bolsters. You can stretch them now without, two hands and 2 feet. I stretched it down. This has come up magnitudes better than the passenger side. Is it 100% perfect? No, but you would have to buy, you would have to pay for a very competent upholstery shop to make these seats panel by panel specific to how your foam is sitting, and that would just be thousands of dollars. So based on buying pre-made leather panels in another country, this has come up just epic now. So once you got your seat cushion back together, and hopefully for you it doesn't take like 6 times for the passenger side here like it did me, and we are back. This is the passenger seat cushion again. Once you've got that done, it's a matter of starting to put it back together. So I'm going to start putting the track back on, 4 bolts, and just make sure the rod in between is there, and we'll put the track back in place, and then we'll flip it over and we'll put the back on. Okay, so got the back basically in place. Got these two bolts through the recliner, just in by hand right now. I'm gonna pop the what I call the free pivot bolt. This literally just pivots around it. We'll put this in and put just a little silicone lube around the nylon bushing here. All right, 17 mil socket. We'll get that snugged up, tighten those two up, and then we can put the cover on. Okay, here we go. Back together. Ready to go back in the car. Okay, passenger seat is in. Pleased with that. Looks lovely. Many times better than it did, of course. And yeah, move on to the driver's seat, get it in. So driver's seat, which is the all electric with the air pumps and everything else, that's going to be video episode 3. So if you're tackling both and you have manual seat and a non-manual seat, you'll want to check out episode 3 as well, because I tackle all the air hoses and get that apart. So thank you so much for watching. Hope the video was helpful. If you're tackling seats on your Z31 at all, taking them apart, recovering them, whatever. And as always, a like, a subscribe is always appreciated. And hope I see you back here in the garage. In the meantime, everyone, you have a great day and drive safe.